Seconds.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
Welcome to Comic Book Spectrum, a Rising Tide Broadcast Network production. Get ready to explore the world of comics, past, present, and future, with our panelists S Hawkins, Brian Rodman, and Clyde Hall. And now here's your host, Brian K. Morris.
And good evening, everyone. How the heck are you? Welcome to the Thursday, January 27th, 2022 edition of Comic Book Spectrum. We're glad you're here. Hope you're ready to settle in and have some fun with talking about comics and all. But before we do, we got to get the attitude of gratitude behind us. And we're always grateful to Jeffrey Hayes and Plasma Fire Graphics for sponsoring this episode. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you. When you've worked hard on your novel or your comic book and you want somebody who worked just as hard on the front cover, that's when you need to call Jeffrey Hayes. He's an incredible talent, and he's very popular, and there's a good reason why. He's easy to work with, and his prices are indie creator friendly. So definitely go to the Facebook page for Plasma Fire Graphics, see what all he offers, then swap yourself over to the interwebs and look at plasmafiregraphics.com and check out more samples of his work and then request his rate card. You will be pleasantly astonished. That's Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you, because it definitely matters to your readers. This program is a part of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. And later tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, you get to see Stupid O'Clock, a great talk show with great geeky conversation and intelligence and stuff like that. Followed by Last Man Standing with Dan Holofield. It's always a good time with those two shows. And we'll be back tomorrow morning for Never Mind the Furthermore, and an announcement about a new book that is released right now that we'll talk about later. And also, thank you to our Patreon subscribers. Patreon is a monthly subscription service where you can support your favorite creators directly with a modest financial stipend. But in return, you get things to see like our special blog, which we're going to try to do twice a week now, as well as if you pledge $5 a month, then you get to read an advanced look at my new book, The Terrors, which will be out in a couple months, hopefully. But anyway, check us out at www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris. And I think we have delayed long enough. We need to get the other people in here. Here we have our all-star panel, Joe D. McFee, sitting in for Rodman. Huzzah. And get well fast, Brian, please. And Pro Slayer Eric S. Hawkins, drinking the drink of victory, feasting on the tears of his enemies. And, well, you must guess, Yoda and Clyde Hall. Great reviewer there, great writer. Gentlemen, thank you for being here tonight.
Very welcome.
Yes.
Thanks for having us.
Well, thank you for allowing yourself to be had. So anyway, we've got some great reviews coming up over the next hour, and we're going to be talking about some stuff. that I hope you'll find entertaining. And if you don't, there's something wrong with you, apparently. But anyway, let's go around the room and let everybody introduce themselves. Let's start with our special guest, Joe D. McFee. Joe, we're going to give you the spotlight here, and we'll go anti-clockwise. Joe, tell everyone who you are and why you are so darn amazing.
Did he just say anti-clockwise?
That's how they call it. That's what they call it in England.
Counter. You just couldn't say counter. It has to be anti-clockwise.
It's how they call it in England, and I had a moment of Britishness in me.
Okay. Name is Joe D. McFee. I'm the president of the CGC Studios. I am the writer-creator of Amazonia AWF and Primetime Saturday Night. I'm also your host on the Rising Tide Network for From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher, which happens here every Saturday evening at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And this week you should be able to catch me, and we're going to have Jimmy Michael DeBruin on the show this Saturday. So we're going to be talking, comics and his Kickstarter and a couple other things, whatever floats our boat during that time. So you might want to join during that time here. And because I'm here, you guys always know I have a book that I would normally review, and then we got mystery. So you need to vote now. I'm going to give you the choice. You have the mystery book that I have in my hand. We could do Daisy #2, She-Hulk #1. You have to forgive the green screen here. Or our ever favorite mystery book. And so far, you guys have been 100% on the mystery book, because I tried to bring something that's just a little bit different that I normally would not read on an occasional basis with the mystery book. So, mystery.
Is that like your mystery date?
No.
Okay, cool. Glad we got that cleared up. Anything else? Oh, we've already got one vote. We've already got one vote for the mystery book. So keep those operators are standing by now, people. 1-800-VOTE NOW. I don't know where that'll lead you, but if you type something in the comments, we'll read it. Anyway, Joe, do you have anything else for us?
Trying to think. If you want me to do an update on the role-playing game, we're still working on the module. I'm actually looking at part of it right now. I'm just looking over it and doing, like I was said on this past weekend's show, because I have 20 different characters in this module, I have to make certain that every last one of their personalities come out just right. So that's what I'm kind of working on.
Okay. Well, I know that can be a difficult task, but good work, sir. Good work.
Yep.
All right. Thank you for being here. Much as always, always grateful when you can show up, man.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we'll go now to Eric S. Hawkins.
One more thing. I'm still in mourning. I'm still in mourning. In mourning because we lost a great comic book title as of today.
We will discuss that later, because we want to see your blood pressure rise. Anyway, it's since we don't have Brian to pick on.
Rise. I'm already wearing black. It's over with.
Well, we don't have Brian to pick on, so you're next. Anyway, now we'll go to Pro Slayer Eric S. Hawkins. Who are you? Who are you? And why are you so amazing?
Well, I am Eric S. Hawkins, creator of the Zombie World of Oz, an independent comic creator and I guess distributor now too. The guys that I'm going to be distributing their book for is fully funded. I mean, they haven't made a lot of money, but I mean, they're fully funded with still, like 2 weeks to go. So that's great. So Zombie World of Oz, that's me. And the only DC books I buy is Batman or Batman related, because nothing else actually sells. Thank you.
And we can talk about that too at the end of the show. And of course, Paul Bush says ZWO. Just yes. So you'd like to know that, Eric. So, but not to take away from Clyde Hall. Clyde, who are you? And tell the people how awesome you are.
I am awesome by osmosis because I hang with awesome people. On my own, I would be much less awesome. I would be anti-awesome probably, but
as opposed to counter awesome.
Counter awesome, exactly.
Counter awesome, well, yes.
I'm sure that's what they say in Britain, but I'm not there, so I'm I'm anti-awesome. Which sounds like somebody that you grew up with that helped raise you, and just sort of like an Aunt May plus or something. But
I'm thinking more granny goodness.
Auntie M, Auntie M.
Yeah.
Now he's awake.
So, also, now that I have the full screen, this is for Brian Rodman. This little Grogu call out there. Well, you must get, because we miss you, and I'm missing Grogu, so it kind of fits. It kind of works.
I think we're only missing him for one more week, Clyde.
You may be right. I'm not sure. But if they wanted to do that, that would be okay with. What about you? Would that be okay with you, Eric?
Fine with me. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Back next week.
But I am an independent author, Clyde Hall, a contributing writer for Stormgate Press, specifically the Pulp Reality anthologies, although I have other projects with him coming out this year. But Pulp Reality 1, 2, and 3 available on Amazon or at the site by going to www.stormgatepress.com. And this week, I became a contributing writer for an online site called Comics Bookcase. They are at www.comicsbookcase.com. Every Wednesday, they put out reviews and interviews and comic book news. They do it other times during the week, just depending on what's going on. But on Wednesday, most of the content drops so that before you go to the comic book shop, you can tune in and see what we're reviewing and maybe put something new on your pull list if you like what we have to say about it. But I am now part of the Comics Bookcase site. So if you like my reviews, go there, and there will be more of them. But also, they have a wonderful crew of writers. There's a lot of reviews, a lot of different comics by people represent many generations of comic book fans. So, and I am part of this show every Thursday night. You can come here and listen to all of our reviews, news, and as we do each other's interviews.
There's plenty to choose. See, I'll keep the rhyming going. Thanks. You very much, Clyde. And I'm Brian K. Morris, independent publisher, freelance hybrid author, award-winning playwright, Facebook famous YouTuber, and former mortician's assistant, and grateful to everyone who shows up. And if you're watching us on the rerun, please leave a comment down below on YouTube. And in any case, please like us. Please like us, for the love of God. We're so insecure. But anyway, if you're watching on Facebook, please give a like to this broadcast if you enjoy any part of it or plan to. And if you're watching on YouTube, please do a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe and share, because it makes me happy and my fragile ego demands it. So anyway, we will start with the comments as usual. This should be fun. It usually is.
Actually splitting. That's what I'm looking at.
I know.
Just to go over it again, we have the mystery book, She-Hulk #1,
with all the transparent parts,
or Daisy #2.
Now, so everybody knows, She-Hulk fights in her underwear in that book. If that sways anyone.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
That's right. I think we got Carl's vote. I know where it's going. Anyway, Carly, mwah, settles in, munches on cheddar and sour cream chips. Ooh, that sounds good. And yay, Carl Witzman is here. Good evening. And my Amazonia has some big Twinkies in that thumbnail drawing. I think that's code. So, in other words, Carl, you're saying that her feet are a distant memory, right? Anyway, and she looks all right to Donna Carleen, so I'm sure we'd all feel that way here. And Dan Hollifield says it's showtime, so if Dan commands it, thus shall we do. Don't forget to stick around at 11 o'clock tonight for Dan Hollifield on Last Man Standing. It'll probably be on Stupid O'Clock at 9, so definitely check that show out because it's awesome. Everyone says hello to them. And yep, we got our bot already. And good evening to Paul Bush. Paul, good to see you as always. And that was fast. Yep, we got our bot, Hossein Baramert of the Hyannisport Baramerts. So, and Ryan Permison says, what's up, CBS crew? Happy Thursday. How are you? We are doing great, my young friend. How are you? Don't forget, all the stuff on the Nerd Culture channel on YouTube that Ryan's in charge of. And yeah, BKM didn't even get a chance to say anything naughty before the bots showed up. Yeah, yesterday on Never Mind the Furthermore, I had been on my best behavior for some inexplicable reason, and we were wondering if the bots showed up when I started trash talking and being filthy, and I wasn't. They didn't show up, and so
they're on every live stream. There's another one.
Okay.
Yeah, every live stream. They're there.
Yeah, I notice Stupid O'Clock is getting them now, and Last Man Standing. But we will persevere. We will win. And Ryan, good to see you. And thank Clyde Hall for being with us during the Multiverse Fundraiser, which was a special charity event to benefit the Perrine Foundation. Was it
Valerie Perrine, helping cover medical costs for a very severe Parkinson's disease.
Yeah. I understand that's a debilitating disease, and and congratulations, Clyde. Seriously, you and Kelly and Crayley and everybody involved in that. Well done.
Thank you.
Seriously, learned a lot and look forward to reading those B-list character comics. Those are the fun ones, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And Rick Bradley, good evening to you. Good evening, comic book lovers. Read them up before they get banned. That's right, by God. And Ryan Permisson has a question that is a good one, and we will cover it later in the episode, okay? And Brian had a little British in him. Yep, I did. It must have been. That explains my fondness for John Barrowman, I think. But anyway, Paul Bush votes. We have one vote for Mystery Book. And Donna put Daisy twice. So she thinks she's in Chicago and she can vote for
It's the whole state of Illinois. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Anything south of I-80 is a suburb of Chicago anyway. And Dan Hollifield, don't know whether to vote for the Mystery Book or the She-Hulk book. Well, Dan, you've got a couple minutes before you make your decision, but please choose one, all right? And here is young Brian Rodman up from his deathbed, a.k.a. Heckling Russian Bot. Putin laughs at your feeble attempt at reviewing funny books. His royal flatulence is not amused.
Wow.
Oh, this is going to be a long night, folks. Ryan's in the audience. You hope you're feeling better, brother. We really do. And Paul Bush would like you to review Zombieful World of Oz, apparently. So, anyway, Carl Witzman votes Daisy sounds good. And Lissy says, hey, everyone. Awesome shirt, Clyde.
Thank you. I make up stuff. I make stuff up. Yep.
Yes. And here we go. And so I hear Rick Bradley says, so I hear the Batman won't have a scene with Bruce's parents getting shot. How will anyone know he gave Batman? Well, yeah, there we go. Nobody's going to know. That's why you've got to have like at least 3/4 of the movie about his parents getting riddled with bullets. It's that. Yes, became. We figured it was something like that, Rick. Fortunately, I speak autocorrect. And the Heckling Russian Bot again. My boobs are freshly picked from the farmer's market. Head to brainrodman.com and get disappointed. Hashtags not the news you're looking for.
And then what follows right after that?
Yeah.
Speaking of Brian and nudes.
Uh-oh.
So he speaks so highly of Saga. He speaks so highly of Saga, and I have not read Saga. So the new issue of Saga finally came out after a 3-year hiatus. I picked it up. Ooh, thick book. Thumbed. Went straight to a straight nude page. I'm like... Just put it right back.
Why do I get the feeling I'm going to get a big box of comics from Eric when we finally see each other again? It's not going to be a Zombieful World of Oz in it. It's going to be that and the last book you ever read. I think so. So anyway, Matola Filiberto has a message that would probably save all of our souls, but Carl Witzman killed him before he could reveal it. That's what happens. Carl is a government assassin. Good try, Motorola. But we have Roy Mercado. I know he's safe. Good evening, everyone. Let's make comics. I like how you think, young man. Glad to have you here. And in Russia, since
comics review you.
That's right. Oh, Carlene says, I have a t-shirt that's similar to that. Clyde, mine also claims I'm a writer. I don't say it too loudly. You never know who's listening. That's the problem. So, and good evening to Grant Lankard. He makes comics. He makes great comics like Beowulf. Good to see you. And Russian bot. Saga is fantastic. You just have to get around the weird sci-fi sex.
Stone said the man that still hasn't produced Nebulizer #2.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
But is there skeleton horse sex?
And if so, how? How
I will be
exactly?
printing this bigger, by the way. So I
That's
can
what
put
she
it
said.
right back here.
I thought I had a glimpse of the rails. Apparently, I was mistaken. I'm sorry.
Where we go, there we have no need for rails.
That's true. That's true. I think we will need hand baskets much sooner than we'll need rails, knowing where we're going. So that's okay, Grant. You were not late. We were just vamping until we knew you could show up. So anyway, you're here, and we have no more excuses. So anyway. We'll be talking more about weird sex, science fiction, sex comics, I'm sure, during the course of this night. Monetization is so overrated. But anyway, how about we start with the reviews? Okay, Brian.
No.
Oh, no. Okay. Good night, everyone. Drive home safely. Enjoy your evening. So, no, let's start. And as in our usual order, let's start with Joe D. McFee. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. I'm going to read this against my better judgment, and we're going to get Russian bot for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your friend, Eric. Your friend. Anyway,
It's not
I'm going to go over to
Eric's
Facebook and
response
block
to
this.
this that I'm afraid of.
okay, I won't read it, but if
Confident.
you're looking at the screen, and our apologies to those of you with vision challenges, you missed a terrible joke. And I keep approving these posts from Brian Rodman. Should I stop it? Carl, you may want to read them before I do. I have a feeling I'm going to have to scan everything tonight. So, do you keep murdering those Russian bots, and you deal with this obviously phony Mr. Rodman, who we can only hope he is laughing at his fiendishness right now so hard that we will still have a chance to predict when he gets his attack. So so keep those tickets, guys. There could be money in it for one of us.
That game that we talking about still happens even if he's not physically here on the live stream.
That's right. We'll take it we'll date it from about 1 minute past his last entry.
You get more points if it's remotely and he's not live with us.
Oh, the game is afoot. Yeah. So anyway, Joe, would you like to go first?
All right.
All right. Now let's see. Now we have
the voting.
The voting. We'll give it one more minute. Let's give it 1 more minute. Yeah. Okay. We'll give 1 more minute.
Just a reminder. We got Daisy #2, which is currently in the lead.
Mm-hmm.
She-Hulk #1, or the mystery book.
Trust
me, the panel wants the mystery book, but it's up to you guys.
Yeah, let's see. Well, I should no spoilers for me, because Joe did tell us what the book was. So we're gonna give you just a few more seconds, and I do have a clock with a second hand on over there. So because we say something that it has to go up to the satellites, then the hamster runs around up there, then it comes back down to Earth to the satellite dishes, then is processed through the AIs, and then once the subliminal hot sex messages are put in here, unbeknownst to anyone, vote for Wilkie, and then you hear it in your headphones, and then you make the reply, and same thing. But anyway, we have a couple more votes. Rick Bradley is voting for She-Hulk, and so is Dan Holifield. Pardon me, Dan. I'm sorry.
So far, that would make it a tie. It's a tie.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
We need a tie.
Can I be the tiebreaker?
If you say mystery book, then it makes it even a worse tie.
I was going to say She-Hulk because I rolled my eyes at it last week, so to make up for.
Yeah, and he rolled his eyes at the Adam Hughes cover too.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So,
Well, if he doesn't like that, if he doesn't like Adam Hughes,
well, there you go.
maybe he will like Scotty Young.
I saw Scotty's cover.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cute. That's cute.
I like it. Yeah.
And
No, Scotty turned me down to do a cover, so
that's garbage. Total garbage. We take care of our own around here. I'm gonna keep an eye on the clock. I'm gonna give it about another 15 seconds. And
We're going
your background went away, Joe.
We're going to do a book that has green, so I gotta drop out of the green.
Oh, okay. All right.
Ah,
Yeah, because sometimes mine crashes.
So like I said, unless
4,
you guys want something else, the tiebreaker vote has been cast.
Time. Okay. We've given everyone enough time, so any votes that come in from this point are null and void.
So Daisy number 2, not going to happen. Will happen on my show a little bit, maybe at a different date.
There you go.
The mystery book that they know about, because it was them that made me aware of it, which would have been Carrier's number 1.
my shop never even got it.
Oh,
I don't think mine did.
Yep.
Mine didn't.
I was able to find it, and I read it. So that's going to be a little bit later. But everybody wanted to know what's going on with She-Hulk number 1.
And who could blame them?
Now, mind you, I have already been through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different versions of number 1. I think this is volume 6, if I'm correct in the chronological order of She-Hulk. And sadly to say, it is another complete reboot.
Oh, no.
When I say another complete reboot, it's not going to redo her origin or anything like that. It's almost as if they're saying that everything that had happened to her prior does not matter. They're going to do a whole different direction altogether. This was written by Rainbow Rowell. Artist is Roge Antonio. The colorist is Rico Renzi. And VC Joe Catamagna is the letterer on this. And there's been, as I showed you, there were several covers. I got the Adam Hughes, I got the Scotty Young, I got the other one that was in like the purple, but that haven't came in the mail as of yet. So the book pretty much starts out with the thing that I was afraid that they were going to do here. It starts out with, going back this way, Jennifer Walters being in her human form. And it's been a long while since she's been in her human form, because why? If you know She-Hulk history, she prefers to be in the bigger, Hulk form than her regular self. And it starts out with her pretty much talking about how she is starting all over and everything and this, that, and the other. And lo and behold, out of nowhere, here comes Titania, a.k.a. Mary McPherson. And for those who know who Mary McPherson is, Titania, this is the self-proclaimed rival of the She-Hulk. And what does she does when she finally catches up to her? She says, I just want to fight. I got a bone to pick with you. We fighting right now. I don't care. It's like, and then it gets to the point where she's up here. It's like, turn to your alter ego right now. We're going to fight. So she picks up the stop sign. Gets ready to swing at her. You see Jennifer takes off her shoes and everything, stalls, hit her with the taxi cab door. Now, mind you, she haven't changed as of yet. She takes off pretty much her clothes and everything.
Woohoo! Yeah.
She takes off the suit jacket, takes off the skirt and everything.
Get the singles ready.
And she changes into her alternate form.
Yeah.
And then they have a fight, and they fight, and they fight, and they fight some more. They finally get into the alley. And they continue fighting, and it just like one thing led to another, and they just going at it
They don't roll through a Jello factory or anything like that, do they?
No.
Does it
Okay,
start
good.
raining?
Good.
It's just like one major big fight until Jennifer ended up throwing Mary into a dumpster, and pretty much that's when they start talking here. It's like, and the reason why they start talking is up here like, well, I guess that's, it's like it's not over to one of us to incapacitate. It's like, no, we're about to change the rules. We don't have to incapacitate one another. I don't have to take you to jail unless you're wanted for something. And she was like, no, I'm not wanted for anything that I know about.
Yeah.
So instead of going at it, constantly, they make a pact. And what that pact is that they would meet up with one another every so often, because Jennifer technically likes fighting Mary and Mary likes fighting Jennifer. So it's like we could meet in like an abandoned lots, abandoned buildings, somewhere where nobody gets hurt, and we could just throw fists whenever we need to. And then that's when Mary noticed, wait, you mean the suit that you were wearing that was like your only suit? She was like, no, don't worry about it. So when you said that you were starting over, you really meant that you were starting over. And then Mary was like, hey, I got a couple of things. She's like, no, don't worry about it. Everything is going to be okay. Don't worry about it. It's like it was the first time that Titania actually felt remorse for something that she actually did for Jennifer, which I thought was a good change of pace here. So they bid farewell. She walks off. Jennifer puts the stop sign back, even though it's all crooked and whatnot. And then she finally shows up for her first day at work. She meets up with Mallory Book for the very first time in this series. And she's back to being like the regular version of her as Jennifer and whatnot. And she gets berated just a tad bit about being late. That it's not going to be like a common thing and everything. Mallory Book shows her to her brand new office and whatnot. All is fine and dandy. It's pretty much like a hole in the wall, just to show you that it's really nothing more than a hole in the wall, just a closet, a desk, a bookcase, no bigger than a broom closet. And that's pretty much where she's going to work out of and whatnot. And then it shows her traveling in New York and whatnot, trying to get to what would be her brand new apartment. And she ended up meeting up with Janet Van Dyne. If you know who Janet Van Dyne is, that is the Wasp.
Yeah.
So they catch up for old time's sake and everything. And Janet shows her the brand new apartment. And if you pay close attention to it, it looks oddly familiar to the apartment that she had back in the Sensational She-Hulk days. So it's like it's pretty much styled in the exact same way, and they catch up for old time's sake and everything. Jennifer is pretty much like, hey, what happened. I can't really do much of anything as of right now. Janet was like, don't worry about it. I take care of things for you. You're good. So Janet takes off and whatnot, and she takes a look at the apartment and she starts to have fun. And then she finally gets to the closet and she finally sees the clothes, something that she doesn't have. So it makes you wonder what actually happened to Jennifer to put her in this state here. And that's one of the reasons why I don't really care for this reboot, because they really don't make much sense of what's really going on with her as a whole. And the fact that she's back to like her normal form as opposed to the form that she's been in with the Avengers and everything else over the past year. So she sees the clothes and then she, turns back to her She-Hulk self, and you see like the clothes ripping and everything. So she finally gets to enjoy the apartment and everything. And she's relaxing, and all of a sudden there's a loud crash. And she grabs a robe, covering herself up runs through the hallway and she sees Jack of Hearts. Now, when was the last time that we seen Jack of Hearts? I believe it's been a couple of decades.
Yeah.
So he shows up. He looks like he's been badly hurt, and then he passes out in front of her, and that's where the issue ends. And the very last page, we get the cover for issue number 2 as a whole here. So pretty much that's where everything lies at with She-Hulk number 1. My honest opinion about it, it is a honest reboot of the She-Hulk franchise based upon this. We don't know what direction it's going to go in. Why? Because it's not an origin story. It's not a continuation of any other storyline that has been currently done. It's almost like they're just rebooting the mythos from an issue number 1, starting off from some arbitrary point in Jennifer's life. As an avid reader of She-Hulk, I really don't care about where they're starting here. To me, it's like there's so many questions that I want answered. But what they did in this issue with the fact that Titania shows up in the very beginning, they show the kind of like the mending of fences and a sisterly bond between the both of them. It works out well for a first issue, especially for those who want the old school type issues where she fights like a villain of the month. For me, who likes story-driven, character-driven stories, it kind of fell flat, but it gave me something to go off of. They really never talked about the circumstances that she was in where she felt like she had to start over and that she didn't have anything left. Like, you know, the whole thing about the suit that she was wearing to go to her first day at work, and the fact that that was her only suit that she had, which means that what happened to her financially, what happened to her in her life where she's pretty much almost at the point of penniless until help from a person like Janet Van Dyke comes into play. None of that has been explained. The thing that I like so far is that they kind of reintroducing the law practice again. But they never harped about that. They just showed her, it's like, hey, she's back in law. Here's a brand new office. It's pretty much a closet, but that's what she got to work from. And up here, it's like, well, why are you trying to write a redemption story for her? What did she do? What actually happened where she had to be redeemed? None of that has been mentioned. None of that has been talked about. But yet you're starting out like this. For a brand new reader who have never picked up a She-Hulk book, this is a perfect starting point, because a lot of the questions that I brought up would not be brought up by somebody who's reading She-Hulk for the very first time. However, longtime readers will be ready to toss this bad boy because it's a complete reboot of the franchise, and it really does not give the older readers the feels that they may have for the character. And to be quite honest, with me reading 5 other volumes here, this is one of the starts that I really don't particularly care for. I mean, I love when she finally took over the mantle of her cousin Bruce up under the Hulk series. I love how that started because she was dealing with PTSD. It explains why she didn't want to turn back to the green to her green self again, because she was suffering from PTSD. When she was up under Dan Slott, those issues pretty much was like her at the top of her game, at the top of her popularity. The John Byrne sensational She-Hulk was at a time where it was being, she was being treated more for sexuality and was trying to carve a niche for being a female superhero. The Savage, the very first volume that was pretty much Michael Anthony Kraft, really talked more about the lifestyle that she had to give up being a lawyer with these newfound powers and all the difficulties that she had to come to terms with to become who she is today. And then you have other iterations where she dealt with court cases, like the major court case dealing with Captain America in one of the series. And the fact that, you know, she had to restart her law career from the ground up on her own, as opposed to being with a what was it called, superhuman law agency, like it was up under the Dan Slott run. Everything that I just mentioned is not in this book for older readers. So it's kind of like one of those things where you have to take that step back and you have to look at this book as a new beginning or a standalone series and go from there. So with that being stated, I will give She-Hulk #1 a 6 out of 10. There's a lot more that could have been done here, but I also have to put the point to this book or this series may not be written for people like me, people who have read any of the other She-Hulk series. This is pretty much a series for those who may not have read She-Hulk, and probably a primer for those who may watch the television series a little bit later once it comes back out. But with that being said, that is the reason why I give it the grade that I graded. And if you want to read it, I say go ahead and read it. Check it out for yourself here. But if you're a longtime reader, don't be surprised if you get disappointed, because it really doesn't speak to the plethora of what has been done prior to this series. And that's the end of my review.
All right. Thank you very much,
We
Joe.
lost Clyde.
Clyde, did we lose you?
Here, Captain. I was backstage, but I got to hear the rest of the review, so I wasn't gone for very long.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. I hope I didn't knock you out. I hope.
Nope, I don't think so. I think it was just the internet here went. Yeah.
Stop it, internet. Stop being evil. But
And the green screen is back.
Yay! Everyone can rejoice now. No, that was a great review, Joe. And I could see that. I could see rebooting it for, a brand new, new set of readers. Because how long's it been since she's had a book?
Last one, I believe, was 2012 or 2014.
Okay, that's a good long time. If you go by the old thing about.
He's muted, but we didn't hear what he said, but he was muted. He's still muted.
Hitting the wrong button. I'm trying to hit the little mute icon on my name up there. No, the dog made a couple barks. I never unmuted. She sounds like Moon Knight. She gets a series, it gets canceled. She gets a series, it gets canceled.
Yeah. Well, I think part of the problem is, some people just don't know how to write the character. I mean, David Anthony Kraft did a, series of basically psychological and emotional issues, whereas like John Byrne was like strictly for laughs, pretty much, and the people followed him on there. And I never read the Dan Slott one or the
Dan Slott was more like situational. It's like, if I could say, almost like Sex in the City type. What would a superhero of her ilk, what the type of deal that, dealing with dating, career, plus being a superhero. And then after that, they had, I forgot who did the run after that, where they changed the art style to it. And a lot of people got turned off by the art style, but her restarting her own law firm and having to deal with the things that she had to deal with the last bit of money that she had. And then after that, the run after that was the actual Hulk series, where she was dealing with watching her cousin die the way that he did, and having PTSD, and the fact that she went from being green to gray as a result of it. Right. And to me, that was one of the best series. I mean, that gives me like flashbacks to what David Anthony Kraft was trying to do. but everybody hated it, that series. I was like, it made sense, but people didn't like it because it was too psychological. It was too high brain, too much thinking.
Yeah, they're lost then. And Carl Wilson says, "Grr, reboots, hate them in all media." Understandable. Understandable. And Rick Bradley says they might have had her switching back and forth because of the Disney Plus show. Well, that makes a lot of sense. You know, a lot of times the TV show is the tail that wags the dog. Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, we're looking at you from 20 or 30 years ago now. But anyway, please keep those comments coming.
I do have to say this, and give me 1 second.
Yes.
I know I have the book here. It still does not explain the change in body type, because remember, this was not too long ago in Avengers.
Right.
You know, the more massive body type back to the more fitness model.
Yeah.
That was one thing that they never explained, because I'm expecting something happened from here to here, and they never explained it. And you have to give the green
keto.
Yeah, keto. Well, you know, I read the Immortal Hulk, and she was in a couple of issues, but I can't remember if she got like zapped by one of the other characters in there, and you know, because there was a thing where one of the characters could like absorb gamma radiation, and maybe it was the Red Hulk, but anyway, that they might have absorbed some from her. It's been a long time since I've read those books, so that maybe they're going off of that.
Well, that's the thing. If you remember all the different versions of the Hulk, General Ross Hulk had the ability to siphon.
Okay, that's the one I was thinking of then. Okay.
So if it was General Ross could come up to another Hulk and siphon off of their gamma radiation.
Right.
But it wouldn't work against Bruce, because Bruce was classified as a generator. He just, he just keeps producing it, so he could overcharge a Ross. I forgot what type Betty was when she turned red, but again, I would have preferred Betty going back to the Harpy than turning red. And then Jennifer was like her own entity. It's like she was the only one, if you remember Doc Green saga,
right?
When Banner, up under the persona of Dr. Green, when he was in Hulk form, was going around curing everybody. I mean, he cured Rick, he cured Ross, and turned him over to the military authorities. He cured Betty. He threw Lyra into some alternate future where S.H.I.E.L.D. ended up fighting her, and she ended up pretty much taking over that place.
Yeah.
And the only person that he allowed to remain a Hulk was Jennifer, because he felt that Jennifer was the only one better than him that was able to control the power and not be a menace.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Means I need to read more Hulk stories. And Rick Bradley says, that way you buy more issues. Can't explain it all in the first issue. Well, it sounds like it would have been nice if it was teased.
Jack of Hearts. They're not going to talk about Jennifer. They're going to talk about Jack of Hearts and what happened to him and what Jennifer has to do to help Jack of Hearts.
Yeah, because everybody's been waiting to see what's up with Jack of Hearts. Everybody.
Oh yeah.
I've been wondering for a long time.
Yeah.
I started wondering even before I knew he existed. I wanted to get in on it early. And Brian Rahman, aka the Heckling Russian Bot, reboots are silly. However, rebooties are spectacular. Head over to BKM's Patreon page for more of that. Trust me, you'll regret it. That you will. So if you want to be totally revulsed, be sure to go to www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris.
I think someone's dipped into the magic mushrooms tonight.
I think so. Oh, by the way, I just got a notice in our thread. Someone is negative. So, I don't want to point out, but someone
my reviews aren't always positive, but it might be this week. Come on, jeez.
So that means next time he comes on the show, one of us gets to pick him up and toss him across the room.
No, he been on a run on a lot of positive reviews as of late.
Yes.
He had 2 of them within this month.
Yeah. And they've all been Marvel books. It's weird.
Who would have thought? If you just start buying, what can I say? Better books. Anyway, that was.
Oh, that means there'll be 3 of those sold this month then.
Yeah, there we go.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, so thank you very much, Joe. Appreciate it. And Brian, congratulations. I saw your message. Congratulations, sir. So now we're lining up to hear Mr. Pro Slayer Hawkins himself. Here he is, striding confidently into the ring, ready to review a great comic book or one that stinks, and he'll throw it across the room.
Well, I got my Disney snitch check in, so I bought another Marvel book.
Wow.
Holy moly.
Mary Jane and Black Cat Beyond. So this is the only book I bought this week. I didn't find much on the shelves for me. I think there was one other I thought about, and I just But so this is Mary Jane over on this side. This is the Black Cat on this side. Both lovers of Peter Parker at one time or the other. And I don't know if Mary Jane's married to him anymore or not. I don't know if they retcon that or not. She was at one time. Then he made the deal with Mephisto, and then she wasn't. And all kinds of weird stuff.
Last I heard, they were back seeing each other, but they are not. I don't think they're married again.
I remember buying the wedding issue many moons ago.
Hold on to that, true believers.
This is by Jed McKay, writer, and C.F. Vila, artist, which the art's really nice in this. Except for, I'm going to show this page real quick here. This page confused me on how to read it. This one.
Yeah.
So you got a panel here, a panel here, a panel in the middle, a panel up here, and a panel down here.
Yeah, that's the middle panel doesn't need to have the seat looking like a barrier there for
a toilet.
Yeah.
I mean, it just kind of it's odd.
I didn't know where to go. I was like, do I go straight across? That's how I'd normally do this, but that doesn't seem right. Then I went down, like, well, it kind of reads right, I guess. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and then you've got that one line like right under his leg.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's where the toilet seat is.
It's like a panel line, yeah.
Yeah.
But he's not on the toilet seat. He's actually in Peter Parker's hospital room because Peter Parker is in the hospital. He's been in the hospital for, I believe, a couple months now while Ben Riley. Ben O'Reilly? No.
Ben Riley.
Ben Riley.
O'Reilly.
The auto parts superhero.
I was going to say, not the auto parts company. If they want a spot on here, we are accepting sponsorship. So
Ben Riley has taken up the Spider-Man mantle, and he's swinging through the cities while Peter's recovering. And so Black Cat, Felicia Hardy, is going to go visit Peter in the hospital. And she knows that, Peter being who Peter is, no matter how badly he's hurt, he's going to still try to save the day. But as long as someone's there to make him stay in the bed, like Mary Jane's there almost all the time, he's not going to get out. So she decides to help Mary Jane out in that department. And when she gets there, there's a guy with a gun on Mary Jane because he knew Felicia Hardy was coming to visit Peter Parker. Well, this guy, which I'll tell you what, I did not know who this guy was until about 6 months ago. I had never even heard of him. But there was a toy of him come out, and it was the dumbest looking action figure I'd ever seen. It's a guy in a suit and a hooded cape. So it's the Hood. This guy is the Hood.
What?
Huh?
He is the Hood without his hood because that's why he needs Felicia. He needs someone to steal his hood back because it's gone missing. Because apparently Hawkeye defeated the Hood and it went missing after that. But there's a whole bunch of other villains that were there that night too. So they have to, he's going to blackmail Felicia into getting his hood back. Or he's going to shoot this, how did he describe it? This has-been photographer that for some reason you dated at one time or the other.
Yeah.
So she decides, okay, I'll do it. But I got to take her with me. She's part of my crew. And Mary Jane's like, what? Okay. So Mary Jane goes along too. And they tell him he cannot point the gun at Peter or they'll know. Because if they point the gun at Peter, his spider senses are going to go off and he's going to wake up and try to fight.
Right.
So he's like, that's fine. You have the sun up. So they head out looking for the hood, for the hood. And they come across...
Just writes itself, doesn't it?
the first villain they come across who was there that night and might know something that happened is Count Nefario. Who's looking a lot like Doctor Strange here. And I thought when I was just thumbing through the book of the story, I was like, why is Doctor Strange in this? So he's not wanting to answer any of Felicia's questions about anything. He said, well, if I might help you for $3 million or something. She goes, well, I can have that in a week, but I need the answers tonight. Well, you're out of luck, lady. And then he sees Mary Jane. And apparently he's a huge fan of Mary Jane because she is an actress. Yep. And he loves all the shows she's been in.
Yeah.
So he's going to help out and gives them a list of all the villains that were there that night. And if I can find the list real quick. Oh, where was it? Oh, so Armadillo, Fancy Dan,
oh God,
Ox, Mr. Fear, Shocker, Rhino, and Tombstone. So the level of villains kind of goes up as they go up the list. But so they go by villain to try to find out what happened, who's got this hood, where it could be, and you get pretty much only a 2-page thing here of them hanging out with some of the villains. And just getting answers from them. And they probably could have expanded a little more on that. I'd like to see how they got in a nightclub with Rhino and they look pretty happy. What they did to Shocker down here, I don't know. But they mentioned that later. I kind of feel bad what we did to Shocker, and Felicia's like, everybody does that to him.
Wow.
And I'm like, what does that mean?
What kind of code is that?
Not the Comics Code Authority. It doesn't sound like.
No.
Authority. But they've narrowed it down to the final villain that it's going to be, and it's Tombstone. Tombstone is probably the one that has the hood, which they find out was swallowed by another demon that looks like a duffel bag.
Oh dear.
So this demon ate the hood's hood. So Felicia's going to tell Mary Jane all about Tombstone, how dangerous he is, and he's the one that's going to. They can't just con or lie to. He's going to figure it out. He's too smart. He's smarter than all the other ones put together. So they do hatch a plan. And what I like, because I haven't read Spider-Man in a long time, but I do remember Tombstone. And I remembered, and you probably won't be able to see this, but he always whispered. And all of his, he had a very low talking voice, and they kept that. So I got the little dash lines around his speaking, which I really enjoyed because I remember that from years ago. But Black Cat, she's up there breaking into the safe. He goes, I knew you were here. And then she whips out the bag. He doesn't know how she even got the bag. And she jumps out the window and swings off. So he goes running down to go catch her. Well, turns out that's not the Black Cat. That's Mary Jane dressed up as Black Cat. While Black Cat actually goes steals the real bag right there. See the teeth, the demon bag that's got the hood in it.
Ooh.
So they bring the hood back to the hood. You got the... there's Doctor Strange right there. You got
There's some guy dressed like you, Doc.
Black Cat wearing the hood, which looks like it belongs to Doctor Strange too. But overall, it was a cute story. I won't spoil what happens to the hood. But this is worth an admission here. So they get back after they've done this. And Mary Jane's still dressed up as Black Cat, and they go to the hospital to visit Peter, and Peter's like, "Oh, it's this dream again. Please be gentle."
That's
And
good.
then, Mary Jane and Felicia have a little heart-to-heart on the rooftop of the hospital because that's where everybody goes to talk, TV shows and comics. And they joke around a little bit. She goes, I wasn't sure your dump truck ass would fit in my suits. And I'm like, well, Mary Jane's always been a model. But Felicia feels kind of bad. She's considered the bad girl of of Peter's exes compared to Mary Jane. Mary Jane explains to her that, because she cracks up laughing, I used to be the bad girl, going to nightclub and doing all this stuff. And I had to live up to the memories of a dead girl.
Wow.
Stacy was the perfect woman for Peter. And, they just have a very kind moment. And probably more of the story is put into these last few pages than the entire book. But I mean, I enjoyed it. And they're giving a little hug at the end here, and hey, help. And it was cute. It was a really cute story for something I thought would be. I mean, it was cheesy and it was corny, but it wasn't too cheesy or too corny. I mean, it's very good art in it, except for that one panel. I took me a few minutes to figure out how to read it.
Yeah.
The art it flows nicely. All the pages are laid out very well. There's a lot of background, which I don't like backgrounds, but whatever.
What about the sound effects? Sound effects.
Sound effects. There is sound effects right there.
Ooh.
Oh, that is really good. Breaking the glass. You got a little click right there. We've got rah. Well, there's that. Then you got the demon bag growling, and there's sound effects. There's sexy, beautiful drum women in here because Mary Jane and Black Cat have always been sexy looking, and I used to love the Black Cat when I was younger. Her and Silver Sable were two of my favorite characters in the Spider-Man book.
I applaud your good taste, sir.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And of course, it is a Marvel book, and it's my third Marvel book of this year so far. Next week, if what I think comes out, it won't be a Marvel book. It'll be back to Image, and I will review that because I've been waiting for that to come out. But if you get a chance to read Black Cat and Mary Jane, or Mary Jane and Black Cat Beyond, it's not spectacular, but it's a good book. It's fun. It's cute, and pretty girls in cat suits. Come on. I'm giving it a 8 out of 10.
Nice.
Yes.
Now, what would you give it if you just reviewed like the last 5 pages?
8.5.
Mm-hmm.
The dialogue is really good in those last few pages. I mean, it's not bad throughout the book, but there was a lot of development between these two characters and bonding, and it was just really together. It was really good.
Sounds good. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah. Thanks, Mickey.
Charles respond.
Yes. So we're gonna get down to that. We've got more comments from the negative Brian Rodman as the heckling Russian bot. When I was a hot fembot frolicking through the lands of lustful compromise, I often dreamed of a cross between pinup girls, wizards, and zombies. Check out Zombieful World of Oz for that. Storm Towards Studios and on Comixology. And the bot continues, I love Twinkies. So do Carl and Donna. So if you do too, then head over to Exig Studio and get all the Twinkies you can handle. Or handle while you're looking at the Twinkies. Anyway, never mind. But hey, yo, Pops Van Zandt, how are you? And Twinkies are life. That's indeed they are. And the bag looks like it'd be from R.L. Science's list.
Yeah.
Carl Wisman says that bag's going to give me nightmares. Yeah, I've had dreams about that sort of thing too. And the huckling Russian bot. I don't know about you, but I could just spread Clyde's voice over a cracker and eat that right up. For his excellent writing, check out Pulp Reality from Stormgate Press. And Ben O'Reilly's Uncle Bill became the Green Goblin in a different reality, says Brian Rodman. There we go. And we have and anyway, enjoy your final moments on this Earth commie bot. But anyway, I guess it's my turn now. So here we are. Here's where everybody can go out and get a drink or something. But anyway, we've got some stuff. We actually picked up one new thing. Got the two books we expected to picked up. Two off the racks, but wanted to make a mention of one that I think you should get from your comic monger. And I have done work for Back Issue and for Tomorrow's, so I am a shill for them. But this is Back Issue. It is the 1980s Marvel Limited Series issue, where they examined the various mini-series that were put out by Marvel Comics back then, like Wolverine, Falcon, Magic, Storm, Manila, Machine Man, Kitty Pryde, Wolverine, Iceman, The Punisher, Circle of Blood, the Versus Limited Series, Nick Fury versus S.H.I.E.L.D., the Black Panther mini-series, Wolfpack, and Exterminators. And there's a lovely little memoriam to David Anthony Kraft in the back. And there's plenty of artwork and things to make your lips tired when you read. They call them words. Lots and lots of good stuff, copies of original art, all kinds of insight into the various books that you loved back then, if you were alive like I was. So definitely this is where, if you want to learn more about your favorite comics, Back Issue covers the comics of the 70s, 80s, and today. So check this out at your local bookmonger, or go to tomorrows.com. It's TWOMORROWS. And so let's go through the pile here. This is one I picked up off the stands. I'm a fan of the Super Sons, and now they have updated it, so it's now Superman and Robin. But this is by Peter J. Tomasi and Victor Bogdanovic, with about half a dozen different inkers, and Ivan Placencia and Matt Herms, colorists, Tom Napolitano is letterer, etc., etc. But anyway, this is a fun little book. The not as much humor as usual, but lots of really fun art, and the magic is still there with those two. It's a definitely worthwhile read. It's a lot of fun. Builds on a story that was from Tomasi's run on Superman, and actually a couple of stories from that run from the Rebirth era. This is a really fun book. I give it a 9 out of 10. I give by the way, I give Back Issue a 10 out of 10. It's always entertaining, great to read, and very informative. The updated Super Sons, Superman, Robin are I give it 9.5. I'm generous. And then Action Comics, with continuing Superman's adventure, a depowered Superman adventures on War World, where he's there with the rest of the Authority. We've got a different artist this time who's doing these. It looks almost like a silent film with the different, looks almost like a wash, but each setting has its own color scheme. But we get to see more about the topography and the what constitutes War World. It's not just one big arena, and it looks like if Best Buy sold the Death Star. It looks pretty nifty. Some things, some nice art in here, but the real joy in here, and there is a surprise at the end, but there's a real joy in here with the Martian Manhunter. And in this story, let me get the credits here. The credits is Sean Aldridge and Adriana Melo. Artist Sean Aldridge wrote it. But it has Zook. It has an updated Zook, who's an emo kid. We see the return of Detective John Jones, and we also have the Getaway King, who is a really, really obscure DC villain. The art is great. The story is really terrific. And the surprise at the end is also someone that you'll remember from the John Jones day in House of Mystery, right? He lost his detective slot. Yeah, okay, Clyde knows. So anyway, this is a worthwhile read, setting up some mystery towards the end. of the Superman adventure, but let's get Clark back on Earth real fast, okay? Just in time for JLA 75. I'm going to give this one mostly on the strength of the John Jones story this month. I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. Really good stuff. And I'm going to review what was my favorite book of the week. Then I'm going to review one I think right behind it. The best book of the week, Superman 78, the last issue of the 6-issue run. I won't show you the last panel. The last panel is worth all $3.99 of this. And if you're a fan of the Christopher Reeve films, you're going to choke up. I promise. The story is solid. The artwork is amazing. You hear the actors in your head. Or maybe that's just me and I haven't taken my meds yet. But anyway, this is, I'd give this a 10 out of 10, except for one thing. The very last panel, this is a 12 out of 10. Okay, loved it. Solid reading, lots of fun. But what I'm going to talk about this time is We Ride Titans, which I think Clyde mentioned. Clyde, was it you?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. It's the idea that dystopian future, what else is new? Giant walls around the cities. Yeah, why do we have giant walls? Because the kaiju, the giant monsters like Godzilla and all the Ultraman ones, are regularly attack the towns, and families are in these giant mecha bots that defend the city. But when one of the operators gets drunk and winds up doing more damage than the monster did, he basically disappears, it looks like. And his daughter, the guy's sister has to come in and take over the bot. And she's got a checkered history with her parents. She's got a sometimes uneasy relationship with her lover. And but it's a well-crafted book. The art, you can't really tell much from the front cover, really. But solid art, and I think anyone who could draw real people is an exceptional artist. That takes talent. It takes far more talent than drawing superhero does, actually, in my opinion.
What do you know?
Yeah, really, right? Yeah. So, or as long as they're wearing tin armor, right? Then they're cool. But anyway, I'm trying to keep my job. But anyway, another thing about this is from Vault Comics, who I've been enjoying Dead Box and The Blue Flame by them. This one has no advertising in it whatsoever, except one ad for the next issue. In the back, and Tradine, T-R-E-S, I'm giving it the French pronunciation. Tradine is the writer, Sebastian Pires is the artist, D. Cuniff is the colorist, and Jim Campbell is the letterer. This is solid entertainment, sets up for a really interesting next issue. I told my comic monger put me down for it. I'm along. We Ride Titans. I'm gonna ride this book for the rest of this mini series, and I will give this a 9.5 out of 10.
Oh.
It is that good.
Yeah.
I see it and sincerely enjoyed it. I really did. And it's setting up a lot of good stuff. And there's a lot of character examination. The relationships between all the people, although strained, is very clearly delineated. And she looks like the sister looks like a feisty lady that promises more story stuff. So, yes.
And I didn't dislike it. Jenny Zero had come out.
Yeah.
And Jenny Zero did a cool thing, I thought, because they're both kind of gritty, but Jenny Zero is more gritty. And Jenny Zero did a thing where all of the stuff that the kaiju fans have known about, the high profile heroes to take out the monsters and stuff, that's a lot of that is made up. It's not made up, but it's whitewashed because it's really dangerous.
Right.
And they're trying to recruit people to run their big bots and everything, or to undergo the process to control the kaiju. And so there's kind of this, and she knows her family has done this. So she knows it's all a bunch of baloney as far as, all of the fan clubs and all this stuff is like, yeah, they have to do that or else they would never get any volunteers. I like that angle to the Jenny Zero story more than I liked initial approach. It may turn out to be a better overall series, but that was my main thing. Is like it was really similar, and Jenny Zero had that going for it, which I'm just subversive enough to get a kick out of. So
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Jenny Zero had giant naked women in it.
that is true. It did.
Which seems to be
Joe
the
perked up.
Joe's back with us now. Joe's like, what was that title again? It's available on Comixology. But no, and I'm with you, Clyde. I think I like the world, and I'm seeing little glimpses of it, but they're just introducing enough that I want to know more about it. Not
The hook is
necessarily.
set.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily even the robots and the mech. I want to see how that came about.
Mhm.
But I think it's this world. Why do we have kaiju? Why, what happened to create them? What, how long did it take them to build the walls and everything? How'd they come up with the system? There's just a whole lot of questions that are well introduced. Sounds like they did a better job than with She-Hulk this month. But yeah, but that's the thing that that it was a well-crafted story, and it was very handsome. The lettering I don't think was really standard for. It wasn't like a Sam Rosen or a John Costanza type lettering, but it fit the artwork. It was kind of like really compact, and this remind me a lot of old Mobius in a way from heavy metal back in the 70s. Very minimalist, almost coloring book like, but in a good way. So anyway, we've got some more comments here. And Brian Rodman says, Fancy Dan is my favorite Marvel character. I'm sure it is. But
did you guys know who the Hood was? I mean,
yeah.
I had never even heard of the Hood. Joe's muted this time.
Yeah, no, I know who the Hood was, but I laughed the fact that he lost the Hood because I knew that the Hood was demonic.
Yes, but it had to be eaten by another demon.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the Hood, but it's just barely.
So an action figure came out 6 months ago. So it's got the Hood, it's got him screaming, and he's in just a sports coat and pants. I was like, who's going to buy this? And nobody did.
Is he now the Snack? Is he going to be? Are they renamed him the Snack?
There we go.
The Snack.
His battle cry: "Eat me!"
Now,
the bag might have got such a taste for the Hood that it ate. It might have wanted what came along with the Hood.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, there we go.
I found your assessment of the villains that they had to go meet. It's kind of weird because the first person that they came to was Count Nefario, and I'm surmising they probably depowered Count Nefario. That's just one person you just don't roll up on and be like, "Hey, I got some questions."
Yeah.
He seems like he's running the mob now or something. Is what I took from what I read.
I'd have to
They
look.
might have changed him a lot, but Count Nefario was far more powerful than what they made in that book.
This one's a Mary Jane fanboy, so.
Well, there you go. Well, I seem to remember that they depowered him to some large degree. Somebody did, like maybe Brian Bendis on the Avengers or something. That he ran to something that took away a lot of his power. But I know that it was established, back in the Jim Shooter eras of the Avengers, that Nefario was in essence the most powerful villain in terms of strength and ability, the most powerful villain in the entire Marvel universe.
The cool black, red, and white costume too.
Really that's a plus on that one. He gets points for that. So
he was one of the characters. I knew him. I obviously knew Rhino, Tombstone, and Shocker. What was it? Dandy Dan? Was it
Fancy Dan?
I don't recall at all. Armadillo, I knew. Ox, I don't recall.
The Enforcers.
You don't remember the Enforcers because Fancy Dan was part of the Enforcers.
So was Ox.
Yeah.
Old Spider-Man villain from way back when. Although this is the second Ox, because the original died in an issue of Daredevil.
The only person that was missing is Paste Pot Pete.
Yes, yes, or Razorback.
Wait a minute. Well, no. Okay, I was like, well, there was one I didn't read because it wasn't a name, but maybe it was a name. But no, it wasn't. In between the names, there's two bubbles, and there's a bubble in the middle. And Mary Jane goes gross after the first set of names, and they continue with it. I was like, man, I hope gross isn't one of the names.
Don't say it too loud. Somebody will be writing it.
So who's this one?
Hold on, I need to expand that. And I think I should know, but
I mean, this is Armadillo, Shocker, Rhino.
Let me get you here. There we go.
I have no idea who's the ghostly one there. I do know the one in the middle and the center. That's the Enforcers. That's all the Enforcers together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why you didn't know about Fancy Dan. Fancy Dan was the one with the cowboy hat in the back.
He had a lariat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Fancy Dan.
Yeah, the one. Look at you see this column in the center picture there. The guy with the cowboy hat is Fancy Dan.
No, Fancy Dan was a smaller guy with a. He was a
cowboy hat.
No, I don't think so, because you had a little guy that was really good at martial arts.
Well,
you had the cowboy that had the lariat, and then you had the ox.
What was his name?
I'm trying to think.
I'm looking.
I bet this is Mr. Fear.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
That would make sense. That would make sense.
Yeah. But okay, yeah, I'll zoom in here.
Okay, hold on.
Fancy Dan, when he first appeared, he was a small guy, very fast.
Montana is the guy you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Montana.
Okay, so that's Montana. So Fancy Dan was shorter.
And
he's probably the one in the purple coat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the big man was another one.
And the souped up Prince Valiant here must be Ox.
Let's see. Hold on a second. I hit the wrong button. There we go. Yeah, the guy in the vest, the yellow shirt. That's the Ox. Yeah. Then Montana is standing at his left shoulder, and the guy in purple.
So Fancy Dan's the one down here with a little pencil mustache.
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
Does he have a monocle? No.
He also
just the way his eyes are drawn.
Montana and Fancy Dan always wore hats. That's the only reason why I remember.
So, well, we're glad we got that straightened out. A grateful nation can sleep now. And Bob says that on Comic Talk says CromCon 21 this weekend. Check it out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and probably follow up on Monday. He's got so many cool people on there. Pops, we're glad you're here. And the heckling Russian bot Tombstone swallowed. I'm your Huckleberry. And Donna Carleen is trying to create detente again by sitting next to the heckling Russian bot and slipping in some cheddar sour cream chips. You're doing good, kid. And yes, should be Dr. Fear. Thank you, Dan Hallfield. And hello, Michaela Jade. Mwah, glad to see you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Prepare for your birthday spanking, dear. And everyone is saying hello. And there we go. We are now caught up, and we still have the one comment from Ryan Permisson that we will visit later. But first, the man, the one, the only. Oh, hi, Clyde. Anyway, but no, we've got Clyde here.
Well, we're going to put the man on hold. He's busy, but we're going to get.
Yeah, we're going to get Clyde in.
Yeah, I see how you are.
I know.
A host of friends. I have a host of friends. I tell you.
That's right. Yes. None but love, Clyde. None but love. And thank you for the birthday wishes. Well, thank you, Michaela. We love you. And we also love Clyde Hall. We kid because we care. And here he is, the gold standard of reviewers, Mr. Clyde Hall.
Hey, well, okay. So we had some Marvel books. We've had some DC books. And my choice this week surprised even me, because I had ordered it, and then when it came in, I looked at the cover and went, "Why would I order this?" It wasn't a lot. Doesn't really look like my kind of read, but it's Image, and with Eric, finding really good stuff over at Image, and my Image pulls have increased a lot, not so much for the older stuff, but for the new stuff. They're giving new creative teams and new titles a shot, and really, really good ones. And then, and I'm reading it, usually you read the first couple pages and you're like, oh, I remember now why. No, no, it's good, but I'm like, what is and then it comes to me because you have to go in a ways to uncover it. But what a great read it was. Also kind of
Clyde did the comic shop go, here's another weird book for Clyde.
They just kind of slipped it. They came with that big stack a week before last, and they just kind of slipped it in. And when I got home, I went, what the hell is this? This cover it's an okay cover. It's just not really what I normally. It does not. There's other variant covers that were more attractive, but this one just, it's like an opening in the sky and a little person falling out and a big person getting ready to have lunch or something. I don't know. It's just odd. Yeah, it's just really strange. Comics. Yeah, but
Good God, Image.
Bolero. It's also 56 pages.
Oh, wow.
For a first issue and $5.99 cover price, which is unusual.
Not bad.
Well, I understand now because when they solicited it, all the images were this cover, but $3.99. So somewhere along the line, they decided to go this route, which I applaud. It was gutsy. I hope it doesn't bite them because I think I know why they did it, and it's worthwhile. They get to the heart of the theme of the story. It would not be in the first issue of a regular sized book. They need time to build up so you care when they do a very, very interesting development. So this is Bolero, number 1 of 5. It is Image Comics, $5.99, written by Wyatt Kennedy. Art is by Luana Vecchio. Letters by Brandon Graham. And it is rated, and it earns every bit of this rating of mature. 2 syllables, mature. It's a very mature book.
I can't read it then.
Yeah, it's it is very, very grown up, but very quality. Just to give you a look at some of the artwork, and I really, really do like Luana Vecchio's art in this. It is one of those that fits this story beautifully. So it starts off with young love. And it is very, you get a very positive vibe. You have like prom pictures being taken. Very, very, very nice. And as these characters age and their relationship grows, it becomes very, very steamy. And the relationship growth is reflected in humor and bonding moments, very funny and also heartfelt moments. It's a very nice combination. And then we get into the aftermath. Things take a bad turn. And I think her coloring and her art reflects, the background is snowy and neutral because so is her mood. Our main character. And then there's panic attacks. Look at the red. I just love the, coloring for emotion. And then we go off the rails. Cosmic. Very cosmic. We run into giant talking cats. And Hunter S. Thompson, it's like Hunter S. Thompson zone before we're done. But it's very logical. It makes a lot of sense. There is a lot of nudity in this book. Just so heads up. It is not overly gratuitous, although there are some places where I'm like, well, you wouldn't have had to choose that, but they did. And I was okay with it. It isn't the sort of thing that's like, look, we're going to do this to shock you. It's more just part of the story. This is my own personal review for this comic book because now I do written reviews for other sites. This review does not represent the opinion of any of those sites. It doesn't even represent the opinion of Comic Book Spectrum. In the immortal words of number 6, my life is my own, and so is this review. So, The Bolero is a slow and sensual romantic Spanish dance. It's characterized by sharp turns, the stamping of feet, and sudden pauses in a position with one arm arched over the head. The rhythmic and synchronized swaying of dance partners, concordant in their motions and emotions, can be very spellbinding. It's like a perfect romantic relationship captured wordlessly in music and movement. And thus it makes a perfect title for this book, because we're witness to a sweet but also salty amour blossoming between young Natasha and Devon. It's a grounded and unpretentious attraction evolving into a relationship and then deepening into love. The setting is a world as gritty and complex as our own, and writer Wyatt Kennedy does not linger on lofty plateaus of sentimentality in telling their story. Yet, despite that, the feels radiate off this story. Maybe because between the tattoos and the crazy creative rock and roll friends, the wide-ranging optimism of a future shared with a kindred soul, Kennedy has captured a magical moment. Whatever differences we may have with these main characters, we can relate to the chemistry of this couple. And we're equally gutted by the aftermath of an off-screen breakup, as told from Devon's perspective. Her coping with sobriety, which could have been an element in the relationship's destruction, is heartrending. Coping with the impact of losing the most joyous portion of her life. There's uncomfortable awkwardness on friendships forged while part of a couple, and now languishing after the fact, after the couple are no longer together. Of Devon's emotional survival technique of saying one thing but feeling the exact opposite. Of clinging to functionality and some form of normal so hard your fingernails bleed. We ache for this love that's been lost, and an oddly worldly but innocent love. And it is shattered and buried like jagged glass right in Devon's heart, and also her mind. Then the fantastic presents itself. A twist of narrative, as jarring as it is perfectly placed, set before a protagonist too hurt to dwell on lost joy and too paralyzed to move on. It's sparkling, candy-like, in a package that says, what if you could? And it's plopped down in the midst of insomnia and black alleys and dark memories and tattered remnants of what woulda, coulda, and shoulda been in life. If life was a little bit fairer, or at least not for Devon so cryptically and miserably vulgar. She's exposed to an anti-door. Not a counter door, as they must have in Britain, but an anti-door.
What?
To an alternative reality portal. It is a random offer of possibilities other than her own. Maybe better, maybe worse, but what could be worse in that moment, as she describes the day when this happens as the worst life of my life. So, the helpful and funny anthropomorphic cat that's on the other side of this portal explains the rules. He is a key maker. He can form a key that opens 53 mulligans for your current reality, your version of life. With the key, any door can become an anti-door to you, and another reality where 53 different versions of you dwell, you have access to. When you go to one, you replace the you that was there and live in their reality for as long as you want. Realities are chosen randomly by Mother, but you can't ask to speak to Mother. Maybe that's a dick move like tapping your foot for a manager parlay. Maybe it's just not allowed. We don't know yet. But it's impossible to run into one of your other selves here unless you have someone else's key. And he cautions you never take someone else's key, ever, 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 and never make more than 53 allowed reality hops. We don't know why, but those are the rules, which opens up more questions than cans of worms. I mean, when you hop, do you force hop the other 52 U's from whatever reality they're in into some other random one? Or do all of you willingly hop together without knowing it? Do you remember the reality that you were just in, which I think that is the case based on what is in this book? And if so, does that create a personalized Mandela effect for each of you? Let's take a vacation to Carolina. Sure, north or south. What? Well, there's only one Carolina, So bottom line is the cat being completely truthful about how all of this works. Because after all, anthropomorphic, coffee drinking or not, he's a cat. There's no pressure to hop, he says. But if you do, you cannot go back. to the first life that you left ever. So after some hesitation, Devon's decision is made with one brilliant panel. It's one of those, it's a snapshot, like a lovely memory of her and Natasha and all their friends sharing a moment. The stuff that you come across in an old photo album that should bring you unbridled joy, and instead is like a fresh stab in the heart when you remember how things turned out for these people that used to only love to be together. And so she takes a key and makes her first hop. The art and colors by Luana Vecchio are beautifully underrated and organic. Bright or splashy ornamentation is traded in hues and in panel presentation for a much more realistic look. When the characters attend a rave held at an old video store starting with a B and ending in Buster, it's impossible not to think on that closed branch in your own town and somebody converting it into a makeshift club based on her vision. Vecchio flexes her talent by ranging from those picturesque prom date snaps to the red-tinged panic attacks to even the feline keymaker called Capgraw. Especially appreciated her skill in making Devon look natural and neutral or falsely at peace during several exchanges where she is dying inside. The faux pleasant expression contrasting her thoughts of anger and frustration mirror the artifices that we put on sometimes. And just when her style has its roots buried deep into your everyday world, suddenly we're treated to that second wonderland to the right and straight on till you hit Hunter S. Thompson's own section with that anti-door introduction. Letter Brandon Graham's style is not always as clear-cut as it might be on source attribution for dialogue, but this is such a messy world that it kind of reminds me of Spielberg's Spastic Family scenes from the 80s films where kids talk all at the same time. So it may be intentional. It does not flow as well as it could because of it, but I think he's being stylistic. And he delivers the same kind of authenticity that Spielberg used to with that approach. He did something right in the middle of the book. There's a shot bell. And rather than he doesn't do sound effects, but the shot bell was supposed to indicate that somebody's coming in, and the shot bell is ringing. So he just gives it a word balloon. It goes shot bell ring. And I'm like, okay, you haven't used sound effects, so you figure why start now? And you just did that. It was a nice touch. It made me giggle. So this creative team is the kind of fresh talent that makes Image titles crackle right now. It's a major accomplishment, launching a 50-page premiere issue, delivering goods, and earning every cent of its $5.99 admission price. They have built a cast of characters slowly in that first part of the book. That's why I don't think it would have worked for a shorter version. But we bond with them, and they deliver raw and honest emotions that we can identify with. They've built an antidote for us, inviting us to cross the threshold with Devon. They've elevated concepts of multiverse. We think of it like Disney movies that are safe for intellectual consideration. Only now are we contemplating how deeply they could be harmful or, personally harmful. But they turn this into an emotionally roiling personal alternate reality concept dropped squarely into your lap. When Devon unlocks that portal of no return by turning the key, we think of part of our life and wonder if we would not also do the same thing. So for both concept and deft execution, I'm giving Bolero #1 a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah, that's unusual for me, but
that
really liked it.
Sounds good. It has, to me, it sounds a little bit like Sliders to a degree. One of my favorite shows ever.
Yeah, a very grown up, very grown up version of Sliders. Yes.
And you did use the word that we all crave, of course, nudity. So anyway,
Yep.
That's awesome. Thank you, Clyde. Thank you very much. Well, and we want to thank our listeners here. The heckling Russian bot is crunching on cheddar sour cream chips and blowing Russian-ish kisses at Donna and Carl. And Donna places a hand on his arm and says, "Forget about him, Carl. Save your Russian air kisses for me." So, Booba Chicka Wow Wow may be the theme of the evening. And Carl Winston says, "I see where Hunter S. Thompson comes in. He supplied the pharma." Could be. Yeah. And Lynn Bush, my evil Lynn. Mwah! Good evening to you, darling. Hope you are doing well. Says, happy birthday, Michaela. And everyone's saying hello. And Brian Rodman says, Clyde, why do you hate my financial stability?
You will buy. You will support the local comic book shop or Comixology or both.
That's
There
because,
we
Brian Rodman is the $5 man.
There we go.
$5 man that goes into the Scholastic Book Fair talking about money, 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 money.
And Carl Winston said, "Wow, Clyde made it make it like it at the end of the Discord." Wow. And Lynn is saying hello to everybody from YouTube. Glad to have you here, Lynn, as always.
Now,
Love you, sweetheart.
I do have a question for you, Clyde, about the book.
Mhm.
Brian equates it to sliders, but I equate that kind of like Quantum Leap because she's only leaping within her own time frame. The only difference is that she has a direct effect on her timeline as opposed to other people. She's only affecting herself.
Right. Yeah, that's true. It's a good parallel also. But I just wonder, I mean, do all of the other all the other 52 versions, they all get tired or they decide this place is not for me at the same time, synchronized, and they don't realize it? Or is somebody completely happy in a life and all of a sudden one of them just
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I can't wait to find out. But it shows you the result of the first experiment she does, and you're like, well, that's different.
or maybe it doesn't work like that at all.
Maybe it
works just like it, if you look at branching paths in a decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That the other individual is really not a true another individual. It's just you making a different decision.
Could very well be. Yeah. And the cat says, so she says something about like, what are the others of me like? And he goes, well, you're all pretty much the same. People won't be able to tell the difference very much at all, especially once you kind of get a feel for the world. And that's why I'm like, the cat is a liar. Especially
cats are liars.
Sounds like a cat.
I'm like, the first jump, and I'm like, I think we have been sold a bill of goods.
And the cat's got an agenda.
Also, why would you approach somebody on the worst life of their life day? It's like there's some undertone to this, but it's just wildly creative. I don't know any of these people. I tried to look them up, and they are very young in their comic book professional careers. But what a home run, I think, with this first, at least in the introduction. We'll see how it goes from here. But
that's cool. And I did like the logo.
The rules
that
make
was
sense.
Nice.
The rules make sense from a different metaphysical logic.
Because
again, if this is the worst part of your life and they're taking it from like a decision standpoint, why would you ever want to go back?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
Well, and in her case, we see there's a lot of good that she experienced in this relationship. And, she's it's that moment of, I'm never going to get that back. And it's going to hurt from now on when I think about it. So my joy has become what eats me up. And yes, I will, kind of like it's over and it will never be reclaimed. Okay. There's a finality to that is equally heartbreaking. But yes, Joe, I think I think the cat would completely agree with you. That's absolutely right. So,
well, we've got another comment here, another comparison. I like this. Carl Witzman says that makes it like being John Malkovich.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, boy, it's been a long time since I saw that. But yes, Carl, that's absolutely it does. Yeah,
good call there. And Lynn Bush said, "So happy to be here, Majorco." That's me, guys. Be jealous. I love being able to drop in and bug everyone here. Carly says, "Bug everybody." I like you, Lynn. Well, I love you, Lynn. You can bug us anytime. So again, thank you guys, all three of you, for your great reviews. And earlier, Ryan Permison, who I hope is still here or will catch us on the rerun, left us a question. What is our favorite Frank Miller or Jack Kirby comic and why? Oh. Now, I'll make it easy. Let's make it, like a series or a run, unless you have a single issue.
Okay.
All right.
I'll start. Actually, I'll do both. Favorite Frank Miller run was Ryder on Daredevil Born Again. I liked his original Daredevil run. I thought Born Again was brilliant. It is basically a redemption story, a man driven to the absolute depths of despair and pushed to the point of, just losing everything. And through that, he reinvents himself.
Then get stabbed by Santa Claus.
yeah. Turk gets his moment there from the original DD thing. Favorite single Frank Miller book would probably be, I think it was issue 221 of Daredevil. I've mentioned it before, I think, on here. And it was one with Frank Miller wrote it. John Buscema and Jerry Teleuk, a great Philippine artist, drew it. But it was basically Matt Murdock comes to a small town. You never see him become Daredevil. And he solves a small town mystery. And it's a very gripping book. It's really great noir stuff from Miller. My guilty pleasure, my guilty Frank Miller pleasure is one page. It was from, I think, the What If humor issue from the original run. He did one page, and everything What If was, like, what if this was different? What if Spider-Man had different powers? What if Tony Stark ran a vegetable garden? That sort of thing. And his premise was, what if Daredevil was deaf and not blind? And so you see these wonderful, beautiful Frank Miller fight scenes, and all the bad guys are in. There's like half a dozen bad guys, and they're going, "We give up, Daredevil. We give up." And Daredevil's up there going, "Give up, surrender, give up." And finally, this goes on for about 3 or 4 panels, and finally one person yells out, "Stop it, guys! He can't hear!" And Daredevil goes, "Yep, man without fear. That's me." That was just a wonderful page. Wonderful page. Favorite Kirby comic? There are so many, and it changes all the time. My favorite one, I gotta go with Glenn B. Fleming on this one, is Fantastic Four number 51. This Man, This Monster. It is a wonderful tale of humanity, and again, redemption with some of the best artwork of normal people you're ever going to see. Beautiful artwork by Jack Kirby, Joe Sinnott, and incredible, powerful writing, emotional writing from Stan Lee. Favorite Jack Kirby comic? Usually I say it's The Demon, but then I was reminded this week Jack did a run on Our Fighting Forces with the Losers. Captain Storm, Gunner and Sarge, and Johnny Cloud. Not with Pooch though. But anyway, but no, it was again, like we've discussed with Kirby, ignoring continuity, ignoring what Robert Kanigher had done for so many issues before, but he based a lot of the stories on his own time in the military, and they have a poignancy and a heartfeltness that is missing in a lot of Kirby's writing. You don't really associate Kirby with being emotional, but there are some beautiful stories in that 1 year run. And I think that, and I know they've got that in reprint in trade paperback, and that's worth catching. So those are my choices. What about you, gentlemen? Or you can disagree with me.
Born Again is my favorite Daredevil and Miller story. I'm actually partial to Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so. The sequel sucked, but
yeah,
badly.
Well, it also came out 40 years later. But
yeah.
Originally, in '86, that's a pretty groundbreaking story for that.
It really was.
But yeah. Those would be my favorites.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I would agree with the Dark Knight Returns is my favorite Miller work, because the way that Gotham, how it's changed to match the villains, which brings him out of retirement. That whole worldview of just on its head, the Joker's a talk show host. Mm-hmm. And that really got me. And I had a shirt with the Dark Knight, that very crunched, scarred Batman, that really impacted me. Unlike anything else he's ever done. I mean, that was sort of like, I was after that, like you said, the sequel to that. I did like some of Sin City, but it still didn't hit me with the impact of that Batman series. So
I never read 300, but I did I've seen all of the artwork, and I never read through the whole thing. But if it wasn't for the way that book was laid out, that movie would have been horrible, because Snyder used that book for the layouts.
Yes, he did. It was a decent movie.
Scene to scene.
Yeah. Probably didn't even need a script to be written up. Just hand everybody a copy of the book and says, we'll figure out how to film it. So, Joe, what about you?
I'll just wait for them to finish the second part about the Kirby side.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, Eric.
Nah, Kirby just, I don't really have no favorite.
Fair enough.
Well, when I was with the panel, with Ryan Permission's panel on the B-list, Cliff, one of our panel members, he did a great talk on the Phantom Stranger, but then he did one on the Demon, and he reminded me of how much, as a kid, that first issue of the Demon, I don't know of anybody else that could have drawn that except Kirby. It was so of his style of that time, more so than Commandy, more so than OMAC. It worked. It really looked inhuman and yet demonic, and it was a supernatural comic when supernatural comics were big, and I was really impressed. Now, as the series went along, I did not enjoy it quite as much. The first, I was a kid, so the first bit, yes. Commandy, I followed a long time. As a kid, it was a very satisfying series for me. So those two are, I think those are and all of the superhero stuff is, his drawing of that. And also like the Nick Fury books, the war comics, like you talk about, all those, I think a special shout out to the one issue, and I don't know the number, the Avengers, where they decide to, the bad guys, an army of bad guys decide to take over Avengers Mansion because only Captain America is there.
Oh, yes. Tales of Suspense.
And it's, that is Kirby's Captain America at his finest. That one it always holds a special place in my heart, because as a kid, I read that one over and over and over. He did this wonderful, just this army of men trying to overwhelm one super soldier who had determination, and not just the super soldier. I think at the time he was more like a normal human being, but he knew pressure points and leverage and physics that he used to get. The whole package of that story and Kirby's art just worked very nicely.
I will say my first introduction to Kirby, and mind you, I was born in 1971, so Devil Dinosaur.
Yeah.
I like Devil Dinosaur. Yeah. That's good fun.
Yep.
All right, very good. Okay, now Joe. Sorry.
Well, I'm not very mainstream when it comes to Frank Miller, and I already showed you guys the thing that I remember most from him. And I'm not certain if they, like I said, it was like I was hoping Ted would be here, because I wanted them to talk about the Martha Washington series. Right. So Give Me Liberty would be the series that I would suggest for people to read who may not be into like Daredevil or Batman or his other mainstream stuff like Sin City. But this is more of a commentary that he took and he ran with it. And it was well thought out and well done. The whole saga of Martha Washington was great. And like for the longest time, I never thought that this was the actual beginning, because I always treated this set completely different than the rest of the series.
Very good.
Now, I don't have any favorite issues as far as Frank Miller is concerned, so I can't answer that. But when it comes to Jack Kirby, like I always said, I always go to my main bread and butter, and that's Mr. Miracle. I'm a big fan of Mr. Miracle during the Jack Kirby days. that was my true introduction to him, and my introduction to things like the New Gods, the Forever People, and stuff to that magnitude. My favorite issue for Jack Kirby side is Mr. Miracle. If I remember correctly, it's Mr. Miracle number 3. First Granny Goodness, first talk about the X Pit and how he escaped the X Pit, and the leaning into the fact that he actually discovered the anti-life equation, escaping the X Pit.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Well, Ryan, we hope you're watching. We hope that answers your questions. Let's see. Here we go. Lynn Bush continues saying, I like you too, Don, and love you too, Oracle. Well, we really need to get together when it warms up, and we're hoping to have the Michaela Con, pardon me, in late spring or so. Lynn, maybe you can join us. Well, she was at the last one, so why not? And Brian Rodman goes, a 9? Damn it, Clyde. I'm trying to be a functioning adult. Bye-bye savings. And no, I'm sorry, we don't speak Arabic here. So, and Glenn B. Fleming, hey there, early morning again. Definitely where you're at, Glenn. Hope you had a great day and a great show this morning, watching you and Ted on TED Talks this morning. Check that out. And the heckling Russian bot runs off with Donna. See ya. And Carl Wisman says, sorry, we don't speak Arabic here. We barely speak English some days. And Eric Hawkins, we know him. He's my favorite. Carl, I wasn't sure if it was a bot or not. And Lynn Bush says, I would love a Michaela Con. Keep me updated. If I am able, we will be there for sure. And woohoo! And yeah, he might have been real, but also real annoying too. Well, I have no idea what he said either. So I leave it to your discretion, guys. Okay. And Mr. Hawkins' favorite Kirby book will be mine, Jack Kirby, a personal juror in a Words and Pictures on Indiegogo at the end of February. Shameless plug. That's the kind we do around here. And I will say that Mr. Hawkins and Mr. Fleming share one thing in each of their publications, and that is superior editing. Anyway, what a hint. And Brian Robbins says, funny, the cat in Saga is Lying Cat. It's a walking lie detector, works with the main bounty hunter of the series. Great duo. They're like an extremely mature Mando and Grogu. All right. And Alice Dubina, thank you for being here. Now go away. And Clemby Fleming, Give Me Liberty. It was on my shelf for 30 years before I read it. When I got to read it, I read it again immediately. Great artwork in there by Dave Gibbons, too, if I recall. Yeah. And favorite Frank Miller for Brian Robin is that yellow bastard from Sin City. Man, so powerful and disturbing. That's true. Yeah. And who else? You know, the minute we start that, I start thinking, well, yeah, I like that one too. Yeah, I like that one too. And I remember a run that not a whole lot of people are really that as fond of it as I am, kind of like the Our Fighting Forces. But he did a run on Jimmy Olsen that was great too. Did a lot of cool stuff. The only letdown issue was the Goody Rickles issue. You know, and my understanding is Don Rickles wasn't real thrilled with it either, but that's another issue. So we are caught up. Now, do we want to end this at 2 hours, guys, or do we want to discuss something?
I'm still in mourning, so it's up to you guys.
I was going to say one of my subjects was Wonder Girl sucks, and that's why it got canceled. But not that I'm trying to trigger anyone. But
if it would have been Wonder Batgirl, it would be.
Yeah, that would have been. Yeah, Wonder Batgirl.
Wonder Batgirl. I wonder why she's not Batgirl. That might have saved her. I agree with you. And Eric, shared a video with us about what was it? The Comics by Perch said that out of like 20 books, the top 20 books from DC, all but 3 were Batman. Wasn't it something like that, Eric?
Well, I think there was only like 5 in the top 20, if it was that many, and they were all Batman but 1 or something like that.
Yeah, but it was a predominant Batman thing, and he kind of made it sound like DC was doing something wrong. No, apparently they're doing Batman right. And there's a desire for Batman out there.
Yeah, but nothing else was like barely in the top 50.
Yeah. Although, what was it? Tom Taylor was saying, and I haven't verified this. He was saying that Son of Superman, Son of Kal-El, Superman, Son of Kal-El is doing quite well.
Yes, it was number 46, I believe.
Right.
Yeah. Well, considering how many comics are out in the wilds out there, that's not horrible.
Yeah, but I mean, from DC, that should be higher up, you'd think.
I would think so, and you would think that with the or no, he said it was like number 7 on Comixology or something like that overall, as opposed to the Diamond numbers.
Right, that's a completely different set of
that's the E version there. And do we have sales figures from the other DC distributor? Do they give those out?
I believe it's aggregated, combined.
Okay, because at the heart of it, it's really this is going to be a contrary opinion. It's really none of our business. It's their books and their sales. It's the business of the editors, writers, artists that work on the book, and of course of DC Comics. But
it shines light on. We talked about the one week where only Bat titles came out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why. I mean, it makes business sense if that's what's going to be. If you're not placing with anything else, you're going to go to that. But how much is also how much can you take of that? And if it's well written, that's great. But there's so much of it. It can't all be well written.
Yeah.
I have heard good things about The Knight
mm-hmm.
from people that don't read Batman normally. So now I got to go back and try to pick it up because I heard friends that don't normally get Batman titles rave about how good it was. So they're doing some good stuff, but there's a lot of Bat titles out there that I got. Batgirls. I was really looking forward to it. It did not strike me as being wonderful.
No. I took a look at the preview and I realized that was not the book for me that month. So,
and that's part of the problem. It's like you got people like me that will look at their lineup and I will go, not for me, 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 not for me. And then eventually get to the point where nothing DC is for me. I'm going somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a problem because it's like Wonder Girl, even the quality on Wonder Woman to me has went downhill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's getting stale because it's interesting because I had a conversation on one of the biggest groups in YouTube dealing with Wonder Woman, and this one guy was very adamant about the whole thing about the cancellation of Wonder Girl and that it was the best thing to happen because it didn't follow the mythos that was there. That was there established with Diana. And it's like, I got to the point where it's like, oh, so you do not like what had transpired ever since Amazon's attack had happened in DC. And I'm like, that's going back at least 20 years.
Yeah.
So with that being said, he agreed. It's like, yeah, I don't like it. It's like, I was like, I got to the point where it's like, once I read it, it's like, I'm not going to convince this guy of anything because he is so steadfast about, he likes what he likes. But I'm up here, it's like, after reading it, it's like, he doesn't even realize that how many times Diana changed in these 80 years.
Right.
She's not the original Gollum that she was.
Mm-hmm.
She's something else. So he can't complain about progression at all because Diana progressed. Mm-hmm. From just being a regular Gollum to a possible future quintessence.
Mm-hmm.
In the same mythology that he's up here trying to fight everybody else against. It's like the mythos has changed and they didn't stand about the mythos. It's like the mythos has been transmogrified to the nth degree. He's no longer a Gollum. Once they do that, everything else is out the book, out the door. But people want to argue.
Yeah, and I have to admit that I stopped reading Wonder Woman during the New 52 because they removed that aspect of it. That magical aspect for me. So and sometimes comics will evolve in a direction that you just have to say, okay, this is no longer my comic. I'll just content myself with the back issues. And I have, and in recent years, I've dropped Superman a couple times. I dropped it. about 2.5 years into the New 52 because I wasn't enjoying it. I just, mostly action comics. And plus I was moving at that time, and that didn't help anything either. But yeah, sometimes, comics, we have to accept that they are a mirror of the times and of ourselves. We change, the times change, and you can keep certain things, I think, in as the foundation of that character. Like Superman, to me, is Clark Kent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can have a second Superman. I'm good with that. But my Superman is a strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. And I can still accept that he has a son, and that's a Superman too, and I'm good with that. But and it's just that I also recognize, like, for instance, Batman. My version that I prefer is like the lone Avenger of the night, the guy with all the odds against him, but he's still the smartest guy in the world. And he
mean Moon Knight? Yeah.
Yeah, Moon Knight. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think of. Anyway, but anyway, the Moon Knight with the antlers, the copy, remember? Anyway, but no,
the Flater Mouse.
Deflator Mouse. Thank you. But I also recognize that that every generation should have their own version, their own iteration of it, and I'm good with that. Comics, I'm not going to be a Karen and demand to speak to Daniel Cherry because he's not there anymore. He left. So, but yeah, comics moved on, and maybe that's a sign I should move on too. But it's not like we lack for things to read.
True.
This show is evidence of that. So
that's the thing. It's like everybody wants it the way that they want it, and that's not, to me, fandom. The guy's argument, I get his point, but also at the same time, it's like everything's not always going to be your cup of tea.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean it's not good. It can be very well done. It can be high quality, but you just get, and you can tell, it may not be for you, but you can appreciate the elements that have gone into it and what a good storyline that they're telling. It's just, it doesn't stoke your fire for having a connection to the characters enough to follow it. Right. Nothing against it. And I have been very surprised. Well, with what I did tonight, that was not a book that I really expected to. I'll be picking up every issue. I hope they're not all $5.99 because I'm going to be in the Brian Rodman group of broke people if that's the case. But I really, so give stuff a try. If it seems different to you, but you're interested in it, give it a shot. Can't hurt.
Yeah.
Go buy some manga. That's why they're so popular.
Yeah.
They have something for everybody. You want a cooking comic? There's a cooking comic.
Yeah.
You want just a slice of life comic? There you go. You want this comic, that comic? They got everything. I mean, there's something for everybody in manga. They just make a comic for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They really do. Yeah, it's
to a great degree. Yeah.
Yeah, and even sports. It's like why aren't they like marketing through Major League Baseball? Baseball manga, things like that. I mean, I go down to Barnes and Noble occasionally, and I am just agog at how many different titles there are, and how many of them actually look good.
Mm-hmm.
I do like. I appreciate that kind of art style on a lot of them, and I recognize that it's maybe one showrunner type and 50 assistants because they put out Shonen Jump, I think it is, like every week. And that thing is about the size of, like the New York Business Directory.
Well, that's also because they got like 50 artists chained to tables and drawing the stuff.
Pretty much, they hold their families hostage. Guns to their heads constantly. That's the way American comics should be run.
They're working for that cup of instant noodles, which is their only source of nourishment until the work is done.
Wow.
The views of Jody McFee do not necessarily represent those.
No, I'll be quite honest. I have heard some horror stories from the inside, and sometimes it's just that way. You know, that's how they work.
I'm just teasing. Yeah. It's kind of like working for Martha Stewart's sweatshops. You know, basically it is a sweatshop. You know, these people are expected to produce Kirby level speed, you know, with that highly detailed style. So yeah, so it's pretty extreme sometimes. Anyway, let's see. We're catching up, and yes, thank you, Carl, for your discretion. We appreciate that. And Glenn B. Fleming, pleads with us. You can't go now. What will I do during the dark hours? And Donna Carly says we can all invade Stupid O'Clock and bug those guys. Go ahead, Donna. I'll be there eventually. And when do you get hatch number 2? You'll all forget about Dark Knights and Men of Steel. Bold words, young man. Bold words.
Notice that he never talked about the amazing Amazon.
Yeah, there we go. Isn't there a comic about buxom ladies who like to wrestle? I think it's written by some U.S. Air Force vet. Could be. And Carl goes, wow, this went dark. It will at any moment, Carl. You got to hold on tight once we get going here. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like we said, try different stuff. Try manga. Try stuff you have not heard of. Don't be afraid to crack open one of those books on the stands, but just remember, this ain't a library, kid. And if we make something sound good, definitely go to your comic shop and see if they've got it. Send them an email, call them up on the phone. You remember phones, right? They flip open. But also, if they don't carry it, ask them to check with their distributor.
And if you're if you're a connoisseur and you're picky but you have a budget, go to your local library. Look at the work. Like if there's a new book coming out and you think it's good, look up the writer and the artist and what they've done before and other things at the library that cost nothing. So,
Exactly. Or Comixology or Hoopla.com.
Yeah.
That's how I keep up on a lot of titles that I don't necessarily want to own.
Mm-hmm.
Although I've got so many of my own now, I recognize that piles on my what was supposed to be my work desk. I'm trying to get through them. Apparently, I'm not. I'm joining Clyde and Brian in that regard. So,
welcome to Poorhouse Comics.
Yeah,
comic book spectrum. Yeah.
Now, I do have a thought here, and I want to say this and make
monkey beat.
Then again, be very careful.
You have to draw lines sometimes, okay?
Yeah. But the comment that I want to make here, and I have seen this happen to several series that I like that other people just poo-pooed because I don't like the art style. Mm-hmm. I don't like how this writer did this. It's like, don't worry about it. If you don't like a particular writing team and somebody else does, let them enjoy it.
Sure.
Yeah,
exactly. If you don't like the art style, let them enjoy it because Brian made me think about New 52, especially New 52 Wonder Woman.
I'm sorry.
New 52 Wonder Woman did two things. One, I let go, and the other thing, I was like, they're rewriting Mythos, and I don't like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The first thing was they changed the art style. A lot of people didn't care for it. The second thing is that they brought a lot of the Greek mythos back, and they was doing a whole different spin on it. And again, one of their favorite characters that they normally will bring back to mess with Diana is Cersei, and it was just so many Cersei stories that just ran on and on and on and on and on. Just didn't make any sense in New 52. So I can understand why people dropped off. And I understand the people who love the Greek mythos, like the person that I mentioned, will love it.
Yeah.
But I'm a firm believer of what happened in the 70s, especially dealing with the contest, with two Wonder Women coming out of that.
That's true.
And we don't hear hide nor hair of them because one, her 6-issue series is about to come to an end. And the second one, she's relegated to a background character now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Moving on to comments, Lynn Bush says not everyone's going to like the exact same thing. Would be awful boring if that was the case. We all agree on that, I think. Good call, hon. And Brian Rodman, we'll get into this next week, but I'm really finding a new reading home with manga. It's pretty amazing, except for their creators' atrocious work/life balance. I guess that's the nicest way we can put it. I think my sweatshop term is probably more accurate, but. But yeah, we'll have it back if we have you back, Brian. Because the other thing we could talk about is Justice League of America 75.
I have a sneaky suspicion what they plan to do.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I do too. Let's hear yours.
My sneaky suspicion is that they're claiming they're going to kill them off, but a lot of them are going to be pretty much incapacitated or retired. And it's going to be a forcing passing of the mantles. I don't think a lot of the old school people are going to like it, and a lot of the brand new readers are not going to care.
Yeah.
Scrolls, I'm telling you, scrolls.
Eric for the win. My theory is it will be as real as any other death they have all experienced. And virtually each and every one of the members that they have mentioned so far have died. Superman's died. Batman's died. Aquaman's died. Green Arrow's died. It's just
but like Batman didn't die. He was just lost his time.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But he got his back broken.
Well, which Wonder Woman are you referring to then?
Diana Prince.
No. When I say which Wonder Woman, are we talking about Diana Prince Earth 2, Earth 1? Because Earth 2 can't die.
That's true.
Earth 2 Wonder Woman cannot die. She is considered a goddess.
That's true. That is true. Well, the thing is, though, I suspect it's going to be on Earth 1. But the thing is, DC has no more respect for death than Marvel does. The pearly gates are a revolving door there. So, it's like, I think it'll be like Superman, where they're gone for like 3 to 6 months, and then they bring them back, and then there's a big hoop-de-doo about it. Those of us who are cynical and been reading comics for more than 20 years, where we're going at Superman, we're going, what is everybody so crazy for? He's coming back,
I mean, are we going to have Reign of the Aquaman? Because, I mean,
cool.
There's already a series called Aquaman, so
spelled R-A-I-N.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. I'm liking this. Suddenly, I'm excited about comics all over again. It's like being a kid. But yeah, I'm just cynical enough to know that they won't do it, and there is at least one big reason: merchandising. They are not going to let these IPs die.
See, that's the key thing. One of the things they're probably not thinking about contract-wise, and I hope they got a way to deal with this loophole. How are you going to kill Diana off in Justice League, but yet she has to be in her own book? Or if they lose that.
That's another good reason. That's another good reason. For those who don't know, the William Marston estate, the creator of Wonder Woman, has a perpetual contract with DC that DC can control the character and claim ownership as long as Wonder Woman is used at least once a year. So I expect that there will be like a guest shot of Wonder Woman or the ghost of Wonder Woman, that sort of thing. Something that harkens back to the original. At worst,
they're going to have to do it in her own book from that point forward, and it's just too much of a headache. Just pass the mantle. Why can't the publishing company and readers just allow the passing of the mantle and just accept it?
Because the internet, pretty much. People just love to complain about it, and it's like. I've told the story before, but about 20 years ago, DC did that series of retro issues. They were one-shots, and they had the They were usually, for the most part, done by people who had worked on them in the 70s, 80s, and 90s with a reprint from that time. And I talked to a number of people that were, I'm tuned into a lot of Superman fandom. And a lot of them were going, oh, we hate the new Superman. We hate the new Superman. I haven't read a comic in 20 years because I hate what they're doing to Superman. And I said, now look, this is your chance to get the Superman you want. All right. That this is the in fact, I think it was around, I want to say it was around the New 52 starting up. I could be wrong. But anyway, these things were coming out. And I said, listen, guys, what you need to do is go down to your comic shop and have them reserve a copy for you, so that they will order it. And then you need to go, when it comes out, you need to write DC Comics. I'm not talking email. I'm talking about physical letter. Write them and tell them this is the Superman you want. Well, we don't want to do that. We just want DC to do what we want.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Karen.
Mm-hmm.
Drive on. So can't always get what you want. So let's see. Here we go. Glenby Fleming with the cheerful comment: Marvel and DC all died in the 80s. No, they just smelled that way. And well, folks, I must check in on Super O'Clock. See you later, Carl. Thank you for your meritorious service. We'll see you tomorrow morning on Never Mind the Furthermore. And by the way, Joe, you still owe me an article for Comics Unlimited. Just saying.
Yep.
So yes, he does. So, anyway.
No, I just have to put it actually on the computer and just finish typing it up and everything. My hardest thing about doing articles with Glenn is just getting the pictures.
Yeah. Well, when I wrote for Tomorrow's a lot, I usually supplied my own photographs, because here's a pro tip, kids. We were paid by the page, the printed page. So I always send in like sidebar articles and extra photographs and stuff, in the hopes I could increase my page count.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it looks stupid. Excuse me. So anyway, I think we have discussed that. I still am looking forward to seeing Superman 75. There's a Freudian slip for you. But Justice League 75. It'll be written by Joshua Williamson, though. That'll be nice. And I've been enjoying his Infinite Frontier work. So evidently right now he's DC's golden boy. At least for, let's see. It's 9/24. Yeah, he's still the golden boy right now. So we'll see what happens.
But what about Bendis?
Yeah. Yeah, you mean the guy that's doing all that work for Dark Horse now?
Yeah.
Clyde, has that was it Justice League versus the Legion come out yet?
Yes.
Okay, my shop did. I don't think my shop carried it.
Well,
not that anyone has to send me a copy. I'm fine. I'm good for
right.
It, really. Please.
It really takes for granted that you know the newest version of the Legion of Superheroes, and I don't. So I can't really comment on. I read some reviews that people enjoyed it. I hope that they enjoyed it enough that they'll come back and pour some dollars into Legion material.
Yeah.
But maybe they're going to kill the Justice League. Maybe that's how they die. I don't know.
They'll give it to Bendis. He'll kill them off. But so I think we're done for the night, guys. I think we got everything accomplished we need to. So tell you what, let's go around the room. We'll start with Clyde, then the Pro Slayer, and then Joe, and then me, and we'll close this out. What say? So Clyde, tell everybody where to find you.
Okay, I'm Clyde Hall, and you can find me at Stormgate Press, where Pulp Reality 1, 2, and 3 contain some of my stories. They are available on www.stormgatepress.com and also on Amazon. I started this week working for Comics Bookcase. That's a site that has comic book reviews, and the reviews that I do there each week will be different than the reviews I do here at Comic Book Spectrum. I reviewed this week, my first one was for Frontiersman number 5. That's a title that I have reviewed here, and they finished the first story arc, so I got to do kind of a wrap on the series thus far and that issue. So you can find my work there at comicbookcase, all one word, .com. So those are the best places to find me. I'm also on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter at CJ Hall 1984, or on Facebook at either my name, Clyde Hall, or at Radiating Positive Vibes with author Clyde Hall.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Clyde. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
All right. And now, Eric S. Hawkins, the Pro Slayer himself. Eric, how can people keep up with you?
Well, obviously, every Thursday night you can find me here, and directly after that, you can find me over on another channel doing a drawing competition, which this week we are doing. I'm sorry, I'll get the bot later.
I'll get him right now. Go ahead.
This week we are doing Vestry. Vestry is an independent comic. The 4th issue is coming out. It's on Indiegogo right now. And that is the book I'll be distributing for the creators, because one is in England and the other one is in Czechoslovakia, or Czech Republic now, I believe.
Cool.
So if you like fantasy, barbarian, Dungeons and Dragons, wizardy, elf stuff, it's probably a book for you. So go check it out on Indiegogo. Otherwise, Zombie for World of Oz, that's me. We'll have a new issue. I'm hoping to launch it in March.
All right.
I hope March. I want to really shoot for March. Otherwise, I'll go to April like I always do.
Stop playing with a 3D printer.
What do you mean? What are you talking about? I don't.
Or keep playing with a 3D printer.
Understand.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! Wow.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's gorgeous.
Man.
But you can find me on social media, anywhere there's social media to be found. No, I am not doing commissions on 3D printing or anything like that. You find someone else for that. I cannot sculpt to save my life. I got lucky with one sculpt, and that's about it. I don't have the time to learn the sculpting. I want to desperately, but I just don't have the time to learn the software right now. I got too many projects to work on.
There you go. Well, thank you very much, Eric. Appreciate it. And now, Joe D. McFee, how can people keep up with you, my friend?
Well, you can keep up with me by watching this very network come Saturday at 9:00 Central Standard Time for my show from the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. And if you don't know, I am the creator of Primetime Saturday Night and the AWF series, which you could get right here on cgcstudios.com, and the very popular Amazonia series that everybody was talking about the tweet about. So you can always catch me there. I'm also on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and DeviantArt. Every so often I do post things there as well. And outside of doing my own show, every so often I am here at Comic Book Spectrum and several other places here, depending on where I am needed here. And we should be looking forward to another article from me in the one of the upcoming issues of Comic Books Unlimited from Glenn B. Fleming soon as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being here, Joe. Always appreciate you being here.
Yep.
All right. So now we'll put it on me, and I'll mute everybody so they can slip out of the room and go to the bathroom. Anyway, thank you all for being here. I'm Brian K. Morris. Excuse me, coughing my lungs out. No, it's not that. I'm fine. I always cough in the winter for some reason. I have dry lungs and everything. And anyway, we do have some final comments later on, Glenn B. Fleming. Thank you, brother. And look out for that Kirby book. We're going to start promoting it soon again. And Lynn Bush, have a great night, guys. Lynn, thank you. And Paul Mwah for being here. Love you, hon. We'll talk to you soon. And Brian Robin says, all right, time for me to go back inside my iron lung. Have a good night, guys. Excellent episode. Thank you, brother. We tried to get along without you. Hopefully, we will come back next week. We're looking forward to that. Anyway, thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you for listening to us, and we hope you'll go to your comic store and try some new stuff, okay? Because there's some great stuff being published nowadays, and there's no time like the present to pick up another great series, and they deserve to be supported. But anyway, if you want to follow me, I am frequently on. I'm on Instagram. I'm not there often. I rarely go to Twitter. Facebook is probably my choice more often than not. YouTube is where I'm always at, some days more than others. So please check it out. And like I said earlier, please, if you enjoyed any part of this episode or plan to, hit the like button if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, hit the thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and do vile and unspeakable things to that bell when it comes up. It will thank you for it, and so will I. And also want to say that we are a part of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Right now, Stupid O'Clock is live as we are doing this live. But please check it out. It's a great geeky show with all kinds of great conversation on there, followed by Dan Holofield's Last Man Standing, where they continue the fun into the wee small hours of the night. It's great stuff. Then tomorrow morning I'll be back on Nevermind the Furthermore with a brand new episode talking about my brand new book that just came out today, a day early. You'll be excited. I know I am. And I want to thank also my Patreon subscribers who help keep this show on the air. And if you want to see your name on this card too, go to www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris, and we will hook you up with stuff in return for your support. And we also definitely want to thank Plasma Fire Graphics. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you. Check them out. Go to their Facebook page and see some samples of their published work. Then go over to plasmafiregraphics.com and contact Jeffrey Hayes while you're there and find out why his prices are so independent creator friendly. You'll be pleasantly astonished when you do. That's Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you, because it definitely matters to your readers. And with that, we are going to call this another night of Comic Book Spectrum. Again, thank you to everyone in our chat. Thank you to everyone who's watching us live or on the rerun. We appreciate you all. Please share this video with your friends and let them see what a positive show about comics is all about. We hope you'll join us next week for some more reviews and comic book fun with the guys and myself here. And so, as always, stay smart, stay safe, wash your hands, and never apologize for being awesome. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next week on Comic Book Spectrum.
Thank you for watching Comic Book Spectrum, a Rising Tide Broadcast Network production. Please join us next week for another look at comics, past, present, and future. If you enjoyed this, please give the show a like and be sure to subscribe and share it with your friends. To receive our free monthly newsletter, go to www.risingtide.pub and be sure to give the Rising Tide Broadcast Network page on Facebook a like in order to receive news about upcoming shows, including Clever Title Pending, Stupid O'Clock, Clever as Hail, Comics Chaos and Sass, Tidbits and Scribbles, the Historical Fencing Guild, and Nevermind the Furthermore. See you next week.